Have you ever dreamt about finding a local legend in your own backyard? Well, that dream became a reality when David Lendrith and his neighbors found that very legend.
Charles and I were working on a fence one day, and Charles comes up and he says, "Hey, do you know the story of the plane?" And I said, "Yes, I do." "Do you know where it is?" I said, "I know about where it is."
A story shared time and time again about a failed training mission that ended in disaster.
My great-grandfather would tell me stories about the maneuvers coming through Middle Tennessee. Was doing its maneuver and went straight into the ground and exploded.
The intrigued group of neighbors went out with a metal detector to find that very plane.
My whole life, we've called the field where it's at the airplane field for this reason. And I never thought about digging anything up until Charles and Keith and I got together. Keith and Charles went out with a metal detector, started digging. About 3 days later, they say, "Hey, we found it." Charles called me at home one night and he said, "We found it."
One by one, the pieces were found in the field, and the excitement grew as each piece was discovered.
It was an experience because I haven't done the metal detecting long. It's just a hobby I've just recently got into. And to hear this story and be able to come across this stuff when you're first getting into this, and this is one of the first things you find of significance, you're like, "Hey, man, that's awesome."
So I threw my shoes on, got in the truck, took off over the hill. Sure enough, they were finding fragments of small pieces, anything from so big to Keith has identified several pieces.
Keith Shara, being a history buff, spent weeks and weeks finding small parts until a particular obstacle came into sight.
Well, this one, I kept digging around that cylindrical part there and nothing was popping out. And then I dug down a little bit further where the earth was softer, and I saw that the base piece, and then that's when I knew it was one of the props.
The hope was to put a local legend to the test and prove it was real. Now that the pieces have been dug up, David has one special place in mind to keep it.
All I want to do is see a couple of pieces go. We've got a local museum here. I want to put a couple of pieces in there, and then we'll go from there.